Hello, I'm meteorologist Bill Steffen. A little weather journey here as we head into Easter weekend. And we had a pretty good thunderstorm roll through here during the day on Friday. And I want to start out by talking about the reaction of my cats, which I thought was very interesting. I have three cats, and you might remember the two older cats that we had before. They have passed on. We have three cats that are relatively new. So here's two cats. One is looking out the window, and the other one is asleep. And I put a little summary up there of what our three cats did as the storm came in. Cat number one on the left, that is Ellie Lou, was attentively watching the storm out the living room window through most of the storm. It was looking around and enjoying the show. Cat number two, no interest in the storm. It was back to my nap. And cat number three, this is the scaredy cat a little bit. First rumble of thunder. And cat number three, we call Joy. Joy ran under the sofa and did not come out until about an hour after the thunder stopped. So different reactions from different cats here. It was kind of interesting. Well, I think most of the day is going to be dry this Saturday as severe weather shifts down to the south of us. This is the severe weather outlook area from the Storm Prediction Center. Level 2 is in yellow. That is a slight risk. The marginal risk is level 1, and that is in the dark green. But for anybody traveling off of the south, that area has had a lot of rain. There's ponding of water. There are some local roads closed, though I think the interstates are in pretty good shape. But more showers and rumbling thunderstorms down there once you get into parts of Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. And especially as you get down toward Texas and Oklahoma, a better chance for some isolated severe weather during the day today. Then for Easter Sunday, the two states to watch are Missouri and Arkansas. Also, you can see part of western Illinois. There's a small enhanced risk area where there's a little better chance for a couple of tornadoes to develop. But that will all stay mainly south of us. You can see that general thunderstorm risk in the lighter green color comes up into Berrien County. That would be late Sunday night. So I think, our odds of getting severe weather over the weekend here pretty well nil. And most of the weekend's going to turn out to be dry here, which is a good thing. Well, let's take a moment to take a look at our sponsors for the day. And here's Michelle.
Need a fast, efficient, and affordable cleaning service? Complete Care Concierge has you covered. Serving all of West Michigan, we offer one-time, daily, weekly, and bi-weekly cleans, plus move in, move out. We also service apartment hallways and laundry rooms. Our work is guaranteed, gift cards are available, and we even clean on weekends. There's no better way to say I love you than giving a tired mom a break from dishes and laundry. Are you a busy professional? Pamper yourself by taking vacuuming and dusting off your plate. Office manager, keep your business looking and feeling its very best. Call 616-264-1397 today for a spotless space and total peace of mind.
When your home needs help, you might not know where to start. Why not ask Ace? We're always here to help with Ace Handyman Services. Our talented craftsmen handle everything from drywall and carpentry to doors and kitchens. We're the neighbors you trust to get the job done right. Let's get started. Book your handyman appointment today. Ace Handyman Services, bringing helpful to your home.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
And we want to thank Ace Hardware and also Complete Care Concierge for helping us out and defraying some of the expenses that we have here with our site. 72-hour precipitation. Where's it going to rain? Well, look at that band in pretty much the same spot from Texas up to Illinois. That darker red color there indicates areas that could see 4 inches of rain over the next 72 hours. So there will likely be some flooding there. Rainfall in our area will be mainly for Sunday night into Monday. And we're not looking at any super heavy rain here, but that'll keep things damp. There's a little bit of standing water in a few of our fields here, and that'll probably continue to be the case here into the early part of next week. And flooding rains down at the bottom there from Texas into Illinois. Well, let's take a look at snowfall. If you look real close at Michigan, you can see there is a little bit of snow expected up in upper Michigan. The area western Marquette, that's around Houghton, and the Keweenaw Peninsula there, the town of Herman. They may pick up as much as an inch of light snow. Temperatures will be generally at or above freezing, so it'll likely melt as it falls. so no big deal. And there are 3 Michigan ski resorts open for skiing on Easter. That's Boyne Mountain, Ski Brule, and Mount Bohemia. And I guess for Easter, you should try the Bunny Hill, right? Why not? A lot of snow falling off to the west in the Rockies yet, especially in the state of Colorado. That yellow and red area, there are over half a foot of snow expected there. And skiing is still very good at a number of resorts out west. All right, let's move along here and talk about our headlines. Most of the weekend will be dry. There may be a shower early this Saturday. I think most of this activity will pretty much be out of the area here by around 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And then there may be a shower again late in the day on Sunday, especially if you're down toward Benton Harbor. But most of the weekend's going to be dry. It won't be super cold or anything like that. It'll be a little cooler than it was today for many areas, probably in the 50s for most of the midday and afternoon hours here for Saturday and Sunday. Showers expected for Sunday night and on Monday. The chance of that at least 80%. So we will be seeing some rain there. And Monday is going to turn out to be a windy day, though temperatures may bounce back up above 60 degrees here Monday afternoon. Look at the forecast specifically for today. 57 degrees the high, 46 the low. Lots of clouds out there. Temperatures on the cool side. Humidity levels down to about 60%, so things will dry off a little bit. Winds west to northwest at around 10 to 15 miles an hour. Now look at some of the high temperatures that we expect here. First of all, this Saturday, you'll be seeing readings in the 50s pretty much statewide. Even up into upper Michigan, there'll be some places up there with the sunshine that should reach 50 degrees or more. Right along the Lake Superior shoreline, it will be cooler than that. And here in West Michigan, expect temperatures to be a little bit cooler much of the day. If you're right by the water, it may only be in the 40s. And then for Easter Sunday, we are looking at temperatures here mainly in the 50s, could be mid to upper 50s in the afternoon. Again, it will be a touch cooler near Lake Michigan and also up along the Lake Superior shoreline where there's still a bunch of snow on the ground. So here's a look at the 5-day forecast. Smidgen of sun today, mainly north of Grand Rapids. The closer you get down toward Indiana, the better the chance it'll stay overcast for the day. Mid to upper 50s during the afternoon. That's not bad. Easter Sunday, more clouds than not, especially during the afternoon. 56 degrees the high. Monday, a windy mid-60s here. Look for temperatures to fall back to around 60 for the day on Tuesday and mid-60s again on Wednesday. I don't see anything cold. I do not see any frost or freeze coming here in the next 5-6 days or so. But keep in mind, April 19th is a little early to be planning anything that might be frost sensitive. You can see the showers there for Monday. Chance of a shower on Wednesday is not a sure thing. Latest long-range outlook calls for temperatures here to be a little bit above average here as we head through the month of April and then back into the month of May. Really no sign of any Arctic intrusions or anything like that. So we're really headed toward spring and even some early summer weather, I would assume. And that last week of April, we could see a couple of days when temperatures are up in the 70s here. Rainfall, again, forecast to be a little bit above average. We're going to have that front pretty close to us here. It'll waffle back and forth, and as it does, it'll bring us episodes of rain. And since we were in March here, we've had above average precipitation, and that will likely continue to be the case. So to sum things up again, not much going on this weekend, more clouds than not, but a little bit of sun poking through, especially if you're north of Grand Rapids. Look for temperatures up into the mid to even upper 50s here over the weekend. It will be a bit cooler near Lake Michigan. Windy with some rain showers likely here and maybe a thunder shower during the day on Monday. Hope you have yourself a great weekend. To those of you who celebrate it, happy Easter.
And we're going to start with the furniture workers strike of Grand Rapids. On April 19, 1911, there was a big strike of the furniture workers in Grand Rapids. And you'll recall that furniture was the heart of the Grand Rapids economy and one thing that we were known for in the region and throughout the world. So there was a strike, and there were a lot of industries where strikes were happening during this period. It lasted 121 days until August 19, 1911. Furniture companies in the city had colluded to keep wages the same for workers, and if workers had the wrong political opinions, they were fired. The workers wanted more pay. They wanted to make minimum wage instead of being paid by the unit, and they wanted collective bargaining. So that is the police force that was on duty during the strike. Some manufacturers did make concessions, but for the most part, they did not. They tried to find replacement workers, and after 121 days, the strike ended when some of the church leaders came out against the strike, and there were a lot of the wealthy furniture owners that attended the churches. So the churches came out against the strike, and that kind of ended it after 121 days. But if you've ever seen this monument in Grand Rapids on Front Avenue, this is Anabawan Park across from the Grand Rapids Museum. If you've ever seen this monument, this is what it's for. It's for the furniture strike that happened on this day of that year, and it's called the Spirit of Solidarity. So, and I had seen it many times before, and I didn't know what it was for.
Yeah, an interesting historical note here, because I don't know if it's still the case. So we don't make all the furniture, a higher percentage of furniture than we did back then. But back then it was pretty amazing. But there was a point, I think, when we made something like half of the seating for major sports venues in the United States. So Grand Rapids was certainly well known.
And it's Dutch American Friendship Day. So welcome in. According to the internet, Michigan has more Dutch American residents than any other state, although South Dakota and Iowa are not far behind us. And they settled in Michigan for religious freedom and for farmland that was available as early as 1846. And there they started the Reformed Church of America, but it didn't take long for there to be a little schism with the Christian Reformed Church starting in 1857. And many Dutch Americans came in this time frame.
Right, and I am a small portion Dutch, even though the Dutch portion there migrated, or else they changed the border, migrated from Germany, a place called Dingelheim, Germany. But my relatives on my mother's side, her father's side, were Dutch. Busker was their name, and there were some Nijweems there too. And they were from Almelo, which is east of Amsterdam, and they settled not here in West Michigan, but north of Chicago in Winnetka, Illinois.
The Dutch wore wooden shoes called klampen. Because of the muddy conditions in the Netherlands, the shoes were inexpensive and they were effective. And originally they were only wood on the bottom, but then they just made them completely out of wood because that was more effective. Right,
and there's still the shoe factory over there in the Holland area, I believe. The klompen is kind of fun to say. Klompen is almost sounds kind of like what you do when you wear the shoes. Klump, klump, klump. Kind of neat. And of course, they're famous for the big Holland Tulip Parade, which is coming up here in the first part of May.
So we thought with it being Easter, we would share some more photos from our trip to Israel in 2023. I went with both Bill and Gail, so my mom and dad, and we planned it at the very last minute. The night before, we figured out where we were going, and we made the trip. We flew from JFK, so New York City. We flew directly to Tel Aviv, and it was one of the most exciting, amazing trips we have ever done. So we thought we'd share some more photos from that. So that is Bill and Gail on the beach in Tel Aviv.
It's the Mediterranean Sea right there to the right. And a nice sandy beach, beautiful, just kind of like reminds you of some of the beaches here in West Michigan.
So what country was this for you? Because you've been to Canada, Mexico, England, the Bahamas.
I have never been to Mexico.
Oh,
I'm the only one in the family who has not been to Mexico. Everybody else has been to Mexico except me.
Tú puedes ir a Mexico. You should go to Mexico.
I've been to Venezuela, Aruba.
Oh, that's right, Venezuela.
Canada, United States, England, Israel. I think I'm missing one. But you've been
how many? That's a whole story. We've got to do a whole show about the Venezuela trip because we almost became orphans. That was a whole thing, and partially your fault because I'm told you had something to do with the destination.
That is very much true. Do you want the story now, or you want to save that for a different time?
No, whole nother episode.
Episode.
We'll get that in soon.
Yeah, I did a whole 40-minute speech on that trip and some of the crazy stuff.
Yes, that's a long story for sure.
Yeah.
So here you are wearing your blue sticker. So we had nothing planned. So we just picked an American brand hotel on the beach. And we walked down to the lobby and said, "What tours do you have tomorrow?" And they said that was really unusual because usually the Americans have been planning their trips to Israel for years. And it was very unusual for Americans to walk down and say, "Hey, what's going on?" But they did help us set up a tour of Jerusalem and Bethlehem the next day. So this is you wearing your tour sticker, which is what to do with us if we got lost, overlooking Jerusalem.
Right. I think that was the Mount of Olives, if I'm not mistaken. So the title up there instead of Tel Aviv, that should be what, Jerusalem, I think.
In Jerusalem. Yep. And we did go Easter weekend.
Yes, we did.
Only made the tour more complicated because all the locations were completely packed. So we didn't have enough time for each of the places we were supposed to be. And it just led to people getting lost all day.
And it was fun. The weather was perfect. It was not too hot, not too cool. I call it Goldilocks weather.
And this was the Good Friday services. So they had a number of different religious sects that all wanted access to, this was going into the now church where Jesus had been put on trial. And there were a whole bunch of religious sects that wanted to have their services. So it was one after another. One was at 1 p.m. The next one was at 2. The next one was at 3. And here's one of them heading into the church to have their service.
Yep, the Orthodox came, and it was really amazing. There were so many people there, packed in. When we went along the Via Dolorosa there, I mean, you were just crammed right in with everybody else, and everybody speaking different languages and everything. So many different people that come for the weekend.
And Mom didn't want to go in because she was tired of walking. So I put her next to the tour guide and said, "Whatever you do, do not leave this tour guide. If she moves, you move. You stay with her." And you and I went in, and then I kind of got overwhelmed by the people that were in there. And I said, "We've got to get out." So we went out early, way before we were supposed to go back. But then the next group of people coming in to have their service came in, and you and I would have been lost if we had stayed in there. So we got just in time.
So many people, but we saw all the major sites. Do you have a picture of the Wailing Wall at all?
I do. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Not quite. Here's the countryside.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. It's they get some rain there in Israel, but it is a relatively dry climate, drier than we have here. It's on very rare occasions you can actually see some snowflakes during the wintertime. So they do have a period where it gets colder. But certainly hot there during the summer season with the sun directly overhead. But there is some vegetation there, and if you read back through the Bible and whatnot, people were growing fig trees and growing grain. There was a way to sustain yourself in that dry climate.
And here we are. I think this is the Bethlehem Church.
Yes,
I believe.
And they had everything roofed off, and there on the right side, there's where all the tourists are. There was a whole long line. And how long did we wait in line to? We probably were an hour there, pretty close.
Yeah, a while. And then you walk down some stairs in a tiny little place.
Yeah, there was a little grotto there.
Yeah. And I'm not sure where we were here. These are all your pictures. I didn't bring my phone, so I didn't have a camera for the day.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, very, very interesting. Beautiful churches that they have. And that's true throughout most of Europe as well. If you go to one of the bigger cities in Europe, or even a moderate sized city, you'll find a really very nice cathedral there to look at. Tour.
So there it is. There's the wall.
Yeah. It's really amazing because, I mean, you see it on TV. It's not quite the same thing as actually being there. And then have the tour guide who knows everything about it explain, why this is the way it is.
And the hotel breakfast.
Yep.
So we were only there for 2 whole days on the ground. So the first day we did the tour, and then the second day we decided we had to sit there and eat the breakfast as slowly as possible because this was the breakfast. Yeah,
and they had a lot of stuff there. We were up on about the 17th floor or something like that. So we had a beautiful view looking out over the Mediterranean Sea. Remember all the kids who were taking surfing lessons?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And everyone was playing hacky sack with the soccer balls. You just
Yes.
looked up and down the beach, and there were these soccer balls going up everywhere because there were groups of people just standing around, hitting them around.
Yeah. And everybody seemed to be happy and enjoying the weekend.
Mm-hmm. So the second day, we just took it slow and stuck our toes in the Mediterranean, and yeah, enjoyed being there.
Mm-hmm. The water was not cold. I mean, it was cool. I can imagine the people that were, surfing out there, would have been on the cool side, but nothing that we don't have. It's similar to what we'd have here in June, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Israel is still obsessed with Elvis.
Yes. Do you have a picture of that?
Yeah, so it's you standing by the guitar at the
Oh.
Elvis rest stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Neat.
so Conan O'Brien did a thing on Israel, and there was an Elvis walking around on the beach, and it didn't make any sense. But then we went there, and I was like, oh, I get it now, because Elvis is still everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know.
They had every Elvis thing that you could possibly buy, every T-shirt, every sweatshirt, every mug,
Mhm.
glass, whatever. It was there.
It's so funny what of American pop culture gets exported.
Mm-hmm.
I was in
Yeah.
Australia for a couple weeks several years ago, and you could watch episode after episode of Star Trek.
Oh, no kidding.
Mm-hmm. And
Wow.
then when I was there in high school, they had Oprah, but they had it a couple years behind
Mm-hmm.
in the US, so I would get questions about it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting. There's so much that goes into television, copywriting the music and all that kind of stuff, as to do what, where, when.
Mm-hmm. And a stained glass photo and another photo of one of the churches.
Mm-hmm. A lot of very beautiful churches there.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the church again.
Mm-hmm. Looking pretty.
Yeah. And that was our trip. So Easter weekend 2023, we did it.
Yeah, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope everyone out there has a wonderful Easter. We certainly have enjoyed the celebrations that we've had growing up back in Illinois when I was a kid, and here in Grand Rapids too.